Wake Up Warchant brought to you by For the Table and their 3 locations at College Town, Madison Social, the Township, and Central.
Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Now, here's your host, Aslan Hadjivanti.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Wake Up Warchant. I'm Aslan Hadjivanti. I'm your new host, Ryan Kelly, still in town. He'll be joining us here and there, but I'm the new guy driving the ship, and no better co-pilot to have than none other than Corey Clark from warchant.com as well. Corey, how are you doing how are you doing right now, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
You know, I'm doing much better because the New England Patriots lost, and I know we're going to focus on Florida State athletics. That's what we're paid to do. That's what we want to do. That's what we know the most about. But as a guy who has this weird sort of affinity for Joe Montana, to see the Patriots and Tom Brady lose last night was a very fulfilling feeling for me.
Well, yeah, wasn't Brady like a huge Joe Montana fan, though? Like, isn't there some symmetry there? Like, he likes Montana, too, right?
Yeah. He's from, like, San Mateo or whatever, so he's from Northern California, grew up watching the Niners, like Joe Montana. Yeah, he's got no animosity against him. It's just me being, like, a contrarian, but not trying to really be a contrarian because, yeah, I mean, I just, like, growing up, like, I love Joe Montana, and just he's a complete afterthought. It's, you know, it's by far and away in everybody's mind that Tom Brady's the best. And this is the this is the third time he's made it to the final game, and he hasn't won. So, like, I'm not trying to go first take hot takey on you guys. It's just, I mean, this is my thing, and then we can move on from it or whatever when we talk about the game. But my thing is, when Kobe lost that second NBA Finals against the Celtics, he was disqualified, right? Like, he immediately became disqualified from being considered the greatest of all time. At that point, if there was any doubt whatsoever, Michael Jordan had fortified his throne. It was going to be fine. Brady loses Super Bowls, and it seems to like be impervious to it. So it's just crazy to kind of see him, in these bigger games. I mean, he had a fantastic game last night. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he had like 5 touchdowns, 500 yards. And he had an untimely fumble, but otherwise, he's amazing. But it's just kind of curious to see how that all works out.
Well, it's weird about his career when we're going to look back on it. So he's 5-3 in Super Bowls. Obviously, he's won more Super Bowls than any quarterback. I think he's probably lost more than any other quarterback, too. Maybe Elway early on in his career when they would get there and get blown out in the late 80s to the 49ers. But he's really close to being like 1-7 in Super Bowls. He's also really close to being 8-0.
Yeah.
Like his 3 losses came on the crazy helmet catch. Another one, the second loss to the Giants came when Welker dropped a pass that probably would have just cinched the game. Yeah. And then this game where Nick Foles had to play out of his mind to beat him. He's, in a loss to throw for 500 yards. I know he had the fumble. Maybe he has pretty good pocket presence and pocket sense. He just didn't feel Graham coming. But man, it's remarkable. Number one, to get to 8 Super Bowls, and trust me, man, I'm a Falcons fan, so I don't want Tom Brady to ever win another game ever. After what he did to me, but yeah, just to go to 8 Super Bowls and be that close to being 8-0, and also that close to being like 1-7. Because they barely beat the Panthers. They barely beat the Rams his first Super Bowl.
They barely beat the Eagles the first time.
Just how close these Super Bowls are now. Because when I was growing up, they were all blowouts, mainly because of people like Joe Montana.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Vinatieri pretty much won 3 Super Bowls for Tom Brady. Brady's, his job was just to get into field goal range and let Adam Vinatieri win the kind of game for him. So, I mean, last year was the first time we actually saw Tom Brady march down the field on a game-winning touchdown drive to win a Super Bowl, which was against the aforementioned Atlanta Falcons, which Corey's still trying to get over, but I don't know if you'll ever get over.
It's not happening either. It's been a year. It's been a full year now, and it's just not happening. In fact, I got a little more upset watching the game. Just reminding me that that should have been 2 straight losses for the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but the Eagles, an Eagle made a play on defense late in the game, and a Falcon did not do that.
Yeah. Your sarcasm is so nuanced that at times I'm a dedicated listener to Seminole headlines. So I never quite understood whether they were like, whether Jeff and Ira were just kind of busting your chops about the Falcons. Cause like, I don't know if you really cared or not, because I understood your affinity with the Braves and the Braves that had success, and you would experience all that firsthand. And I know you went to Georgia, but have the Florida State ties, obviously, with your father being such a big fan. But like the Falcons thing, I thought was just kind of one of those casual things. Like I'm from Tampa. I would like to see the Bucks do well, especially because they got number 5 as well. But like, I don't lose sleep over them losing. But like, you're like legitimately a Falcons fan. Like that hurt the solar plexus last year.
Here's the thing. So going into that season last year, I thought the Falcons would go. Last year, we're talking about the 2016 season.
Right.
I thought the Falcons would be 5-11. And even halfway through the season, they're like 5-5, and I'm like, okay, maybe they'll make the playoffs. Then they got really hot late and looked really good in the playoffs. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. We got to the Super Bowl. And I don't live and die with the Falcons. And I didn't really think I was going to live and die with the Super Bowl. I'm like, man, this is cool. We're not going to beat the Patriots. But man, that's pretty awesome to be in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But the problem with that game, that one game, is you get up 28-3. So in your mind, you've already won the Super Bowl. You get to feel what that's like. And it's more just for the city. I'm a City of Atlanta fan, if I could put it that way. Like, I think the City of Atlanta deserves championships. We heard, growing up, all we heard is about these curses in Boston and Chicago. And it's like, man, Chicago had Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Boston had Larry Bird and the Celtics. I'm sorry y'all sucked at baseball for 70 years. But y'all got to win a bunch of other trophies in a bunch of different sports. Atlanta doesn't have that. So we were so close to our second one. That's what bothered me so much. And and then this year it was just another typical Atlanta postseason loss, because that's how you get so cynical, you get so jaded. And as an Atlanta sports fan, even in the Super Bowl, even up 28-3, I'm not high-fiving thinking it's over like everybody else in the country probably was, because I know Atlanta sports. And then of course it came to fruition. So it's not like I grew up a live and die Atlanta. I'm much more of an Atlanta Braves fan. But but I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, just not die hard. Except I died hard that night when you lose a 28-3 lead.
That was a tough one, man. That was a tough one. And you could have probably started making parade plans and all that kind of stuff. And, the whole 283 diamonds in the ring from the Patriots doesn't really help things. But we're going to work through this.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they lost. I'm kind of glad they lost the Super Bowl. Now that you reminded me of what they did with their ring, I'm glad they lost this one. Hopefully the Eagles will put whatever will be 4,133 rings and diamonds in their ring.
This is so crazy. So Nick Foles, good grief. Awesome. Sports. You want to talk about how awesome it is to cover sports. A guy like Nick Foles being able to lead a team like the Eagles, who had never won a Super Bowl. They won an NFL championship, I think, back in 1960. I think they were talking about during the game, he maybe even had given up on the sport itself, but then Andy Reid kind of convinced him to come out and play for the Eagles, and then obviously Doug Peterson takes over. Jeff Hostetler won with the Giants back in the day. Like Phil Simms got hurt in the when did Simms get hurt? I don't know, but because I know Montana got hurt in the NFC Championship game as well.
It was like 90-91. Yeah, that's right. Hostetler came in and beat the 49ers. Well, it didn't really. The Giants defense beat the 49ers that year. It was like 15 I think it was the Bills, the wide right with the Bills.
Yeah. So he goes there and wins that. But just in terms of all this great promise of Carson Wentz, and then he goes down, and you figure there's no way. There's no way they're going to win this. There's no way there's no way they're going to make it this far. And then to see him sort of play in the way he did, that was a crazy thing to me. Win or lose, I thought he should have won the MVP, but it would have been hard to not give it to Brady if he'd gone down and scored another touchdown. But that to me will be the coolest thing to really talk about here in the sort of aftermath of things.
Yeah, man. You're right. It is a cool thing about sports when backups step up and make plays like that. And he was incredible. He was as good as he didn't throw over as many yards as Brady, but his interception was a ball that his receiver batted back into the middle of the field. And he caught a touchdown.
Yeah.
He just he's a better receiver than Brady for sure. That was just a really neat thing to watch for a guy that was kind of given up on. He had a really good year a few years ago and was given up on. What it kind of reminds me of in a weird way is going back to the early 90s when Casey Weldon and Brad Johnson were both competing for the starting spot at Florida State. And Casey Weldon, after midway through the 90s season, took over, became the media darling, became the Heisman hopeful, led them, got them to the number one in the country, while Brad Johnson was just basically the backup quarterback. That's what he was. And then he ends up having the long NFL career, wasn't a great pro, but was a good pro and won himself a championship. That's really neat because, Brad Johnson could have given up on football when he couldn't even win the starting job at his college. But for him to go be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, that's a pretty good story too. That's kind of Nick Foles-esque. I guess that guys just don't give up on themselves, which is a really neat thing because it's easy to give up on yourself, especially when you got somebody like Carson Wentz in front of you.
And then speaking of giving up, you think they give Tom Brady, 220 and change, 2 minutes and change? There's no way he's gonna get this. I'm like, just let him. I'm thinking to myself, let's let him score, just so you have the ball with 55 seconds, and then maybe you can kick a field goal to win the game. But don't ever quit, kids. Always keep fighting, man. That's a way to do things out there. So
that's what we try to teach here at Wake Up Warchant.
That's what we're doing, man.
That's the message for the kids that are going to school right now. Don't give up on yourself, kids. Be like Nick Foles.
Indeed. Keep grinding. So 3 Florida State Seminoles. I think a 4th if you count the strength coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, Josh Hinkst. He's the head strength coach for the Eagles. But 4 Florida State Seminoles will have Super Bowl rings. We have Darby, we got Timmy Jernigan, and then Patrick Robinson involved. Patrick Robinson, man, he's still in the league. Or, I thought
well,
the Saints.
Nigel Bradham.
Oh, Nigel Bradham. I'm sorry. Patrick Robinson's with the Saints. I apologize, everybody.
No, Robinson's with the Eagles too. It was 4 Florida State guys. Robinson plays in their nickel package.
Okay.
And Bradham, yeah, I mean that's a really cool story. He was
how is he still around? I thought when the Bills got rid of him, he was just going to be discarded for good. But he's still out there producing.
No, he was really good for them this year, and it's a really cool story. You know, I covered Florida State when Nigel Bradham joined the program, and what would that have been, 2007? He was a high school All-American from Wakulla. He's a superstar in Wakulla, or was when he was a high school kid. You know, Wakulla, that's a small town that doesn't get a lot of 5-star super duper All-American types. They have great athletic programs, but they don't usually have national guys like Nigel Bradham. And so he became almost like the face of the town as an 18, 19-year-old kid. And for him, 10 or 11 years in, now it's probably 10 years into his career now, to get a Super Bowl is really neat, especially because he was pretty good in Buffalo. But when you're playing in Buffalo, it's almost like you're not playing in the NFL. Nobody's paying attention. So for him, to get them to this stage, be a starter, be their leading tackler, it's a really cool thing for Wakulla and for Florida State. And, when you think about that 2009 defense, which was the worst defense in Florida State history, heck, man, it ends up having 2 Super Bowl champs on it. Patrick Robinson and Nigel Bradham were on that team. Now, there was not a whole lot of talent other than those 2 guys. But those 2 guys stuck with it. They were good players, and they're both ended up having really nice NFL careers.
Quality over quantity. That's what they go for, quality over quantity.
Right, well, maybe not. It didn't work out with a lot of W's and stops that year, but those 2 guys always played hard and were very good. And it's really cool. They were both really good to talk to, just from a personal standpoint, interviewing them over the years. Were really good to talk to. And they were the kind of guys that even that year when they'd give up 40 points a game, those 2 guys would always come out and talk to the media, which I think says a lot. I think that goes a long way, and that's always I'll always remember that about Bradham and Robinson, that they were always big enough guys, even after a disappointing loss, to come out and talk to the media.
I'll always remember Nigel Bradham for having one of the worst targeting call ejections in history against Miami. That's the parting shot I have from Nigel.
Not only that, it was an interception. It would have been an interception. Yeah. I mean, they won the game anyway, but that would have wrapped up the game because it would have been an interception. Yeah, no, I remember that one. That was the 2010 Miami game? 11? Something like that. It was Jimbo was the coach, so I guess it would have been 11. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. That was an incredibly bad call. It was just because he hit the kid too hard. They thought they had to throw a flag. And that was back when they wouldn't go review it. At least now they review them.
Indeed. Progress. That's what it's all about. All right, let's step aside for our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll have Michael Langston from warchant.com joining us, giving us the lowdown, the very latest on Florida State's recruiting class, which is skyrocketing up the charts. Really good times to be a Seminole, but when is it not? We'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up Warchant here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
It's tricky, isn't it? This whole better thing. Where do you begin? 5 a.m. alarms? A silent meditative retreat? Working until silly o'clock in the morning? Or maybe you can begin another way. By listening. Listening to the most inspiring voices on the planet. Listening to stories to help guide you on your own. Audible. Open your ears to the biggest selection of audiobooks from the world's most inspiring voices. Go to audible.com and start a free trial today.
Message and data rates may apply.
When did it become okay for men to be lazier, softer, fatter? We need to bring the men of this country back to greatness. And it's easier than ever with Ageless Male Max, a patent-pending formula with an ingredient that helps boost your total testosterone, promoting greater increases in muscle size and twice the reduction of body fat percentage than exercise alone. Plus, an amazing 64% increase in nitric oxide, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Take your manhood to the max by trying your first 30-day bottle free. Just pay shipping and handling. Not 10 days, not 15 days, but a full 30-day supply free when you text the word ROCK to 797979. Finally, a formula that boosts total testosterone. If your results with Ageless Male Max are too intense, please decrease use. For your free bottle, text ROCK to 797979. Text ROCK to 797979.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
The Seventh Hill Tap Room on Appalachia Parkway, right underneath Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, is Tallahassee's home for the best in Florida craft brews. The Seventh Hill Tap Room, proud presenters of Beer 30 on The Jeff Cameron Show, weekdays right around 4:30 p.m.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Bandito's Burritos, my friend?
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he wants it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left!
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
You're locked in to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake Up Warchant brought to you by For the Table. Beginning this Thursday at Township, Taco Thursdays. $2 house tacos and $2 off the taco of the month and shrimp ceviche tacos. Welcome back to ESPN 97.9's Wake Up Warchant. I am Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey Clark, who's off in the distance. But right now we turn our attention to the most important thing right now on the calendar month, and that is recruiting. Joining us is Warchant.com's insider recruiting guru. I don't know what's on the business card, Michael Langston, but go ahead and let me know.
Recruiting analyst is fine. Yeah, it's an exciting time, Aslan. It's a busy time, and they're trying to finish off this class. And I think Seminole fans are going to be pretty excited when this thing wraps up on Wednesday.
Going into this final weekend here, I mean, a month ago, if we would have said going into this final weekend, Florida State would be in this sort of position, like scale of 1 to 10, you're surprised that they'd be this poised to finish out this strongly and to add all these sort of important pieces they need, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
I would probably, between a 1 and 10, I'd probably put it as a 4 or 5 because I knew that they would do pretty well because I knew that kind of the history of the staff and what they do. But it still boggles my mind just wrapping my mind around the job they've done as far as what they did in the early signing period and then also just the way they're closing and the way they're finishing this thing off. I had the class finishing about 15 or 20, but it looks like it could finish all the way, between 8 and 12, that mark. So it's even better than what I thought it would do. So I think it just shows you how good of recruiters these guys are. And certainly if their recruiting matches with their coaching ability, I think everyone's going to be pretty excited about this staff.
How many of these names were household names to a guy like you? We know that Jimbo Fisher and the previous staff was pretty much a derelict of duty here in terms of recruiting. So many of these kids are players that, the common fan, a guy like me, myself, never even heard of most of these kids before. But just how good are some of these kids, whether it's a guy like Dennis Briggs or Xavier Peters, these sort of guys that are getting into the fold here towards the end?
Well, I think some of them are new to fans. Like Xavier Peters is probably a kind of a new name, but he kind of exploded onto the scene after his Under Armour game performance. But he's a guy I already knew about, but he's new to like the casual fan that doesn't follow recruiting all the time because the old staff really never pushed for him. And then you have guys that already signed, like Jaden Woodbay, a 5-star from California. He was a guy that's always wanted to go to FSU, and he wanted an offer, but it was just like there was a lot of guys in there that they were kind of not begging, but, hoping FSU would push for him. And, I think this staff has certainly been very involved with some guys that the old staff was on, and then also some other guys that are kind of new. And I think what they've done is they've done a really good job of sticking with guys they know that they have bonds with and relationships and that they can actually pull off. And, guys they had relationships with back at Oregon, that they've been recruiting for a while and basically just had to sell them on the kind of stuff that they're going to do at Florida State. And so some of it was new and some of it was kind of guys that they already had a bond with. But I think the key was they didn't go out there and just, throw offers everywhere. They threw offers to guys that the one they knew they were really interested in FSU, or two, they already had previous relationships with these guys, like the Armwood kids that everyone's been following. Obviously the guys I've already mentioned, like Xavier Peters, Jaden Woodbay. And then there's some new guys that they've kind of gone after that, they pushed for. So there's some new names in there, but they've done an incredible job.
Michael Langston joining us, the warchant.com recruiting insider, talking recruiting. Obviously, National Signing Day approaching on Wednesday. We're about 48 hours away from the craziest day of the year for a guy like Michael. Now, you talked about so many things here now for Florida State are still the same, despite a new coaching staff, just in terms of success in terms of recruiting. But Jimbo and Willie couldn't be any more different, it seems like, just in terms of their demeanor. Why is Willie's way going to maybe, I don't want to say be better than Jimbo, but what are the perks of Willie's sort of more outgoing, youthful, jubilant personality, tweeting, being out there? It seems like moms, there's so many of these kids are saying that I can talk to Coach Taggart in ways I can't talk to any other coach, which sounds really good. But then part of me is like, well, maybe some of them want more of a father figure guy, maybe not a buddy, but that doesn't seem to be slowing down Taggart right now in terms of recruiting.
Well, I think first of all, with Florida kids, he's a Floridian. He's from Bradenton, Florida. Kids connect with guy that's from their state. They know what he's been through, what they're going through. He played at Western Kentucky. He was not a highly recruited guy. So the guys that aren't highly recruited, he knows exactly what they're going through. But then the other guys, he knows how to connect with them because he knows he's been through the process, so he understands. But I think the main thing too with this staff, and not just Willie, but just the staff in general, was with Jimbo, it almost became like a business all the time, and it was like he was running like an NFL franchise. Like, hey, we got a business to do. They would have, well, you can't do social media at a certain time during the year. You were shutting that down. It was like the kids. I mean, they forgot that they're in college and they're having fun. And I think Willie's gotten back to that where we're going to be serious and get down to business when we work. But at the same time, I think he wanted to make sure they understood, like, hey, there's a fun part of this. And two, he knows how to relate to kids, just what they're going through. He can connect with them. He's much more loose. He gives his coaches much more freedom. I don't think a lot of the coaches had a lot of freedom that were assistant coaches under Jimbo as far as, recruiting, who you could offer. I think Willie trusts his staff a little bit more than kind of Jimbo did, and Jimbo's kind of a hands-on type of guy where Willie, he's gonna be hands-on to a certain degree, but he's going to let his guys, do their thing. And I think too, one thing that I've mentioned many times on our site was the chemistry between all these coaches is so good, and the kids see that. So when we talk about culture, I talk about culture all the time on our site about, hey, the kids just see the culture. That's kind of what I mean by that is kids see the chemistry between these coaches and players, and I think the players are already connecting with them, and I think that's had a big effect on helping this recruiting class really go from, in the 70s to now they're number 15 in the Rivals ranking.
Michael Langston from warchant.com joining us here on Wake Up Warchant on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee. In terms of needs being met, Michael, what are some of the needs that maybe are still out there for Florida State to accomplish and get met, and how are they stacking up in terms of those pursuits? I think a guy like James Foster, quarterback, is obviously probably one of the bigger names that we need to keep an eye on. Yeah, James Foster's a big one. I think the two biggest positions they wanted to really nail down was linebacker and receiver.
sounds like they're really going to nail it on the receiver part. They already have, got a commitment on Sunday from Keyshawn Helton, a speedy wide receiver from over there in the Pensacola area. That gives them, around, I want to say 4, now. And then they have Trayshawn Harrison, who visited this past weekend. I think they land that kid. And then they already have Warren Thompson, who they got early in the week. So if you land all those guys, that's like 5 or 6 receivers. So you nailed out of the park. You basically only wanted 4, but they found 6 really good ones that they like. So, or 5 or 6. So they nailed that. And then linebacker, they picked up Xavier Peters, as we talked about earlier, and they already had Amari Gaynor, who's already enrolled. They want to get between 2 and 4 linebackers. They're probably going to get James Miller from Armwood, another talented linebacker.
Oh, you think so? You think so?
That would, yeah, I think they do. Okay. I think they land him.
That's been a roller coaster, has it not? It's been hot and cold, unofficial, official, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's been back and forth. He's originally from Madison, which is a big, kind of a school that pushed a lot of, FSU's got a lot of kids from Madison. Transferred over to Armwood. I think his mom got a job over there, so they moved over there. And his dream school has always been FSU. I think the main thing the family wanted to see is the priority and how much FSU really wanted them. I think they knocked it out of the park this weekend. I mean, anything can happen, and he might change his mind. But I think right now things are leaning heavily towards FSU. So if you get him, that would give you 3 linebackers. I think in a perfect situation, FSU would want 4. They're probably not going to. They'll probably be 1 short of what they wanted at the most at linebacker. But when you go through every position, they've pretty much nailed every position from defensive end, to offensive line where they got 4 guys. Defensive back they got 4 guys. So they've nailed pretty much every position. I think linebacker they might come at 1 short, and then I think at quarterback at James Foster, I think they did enough this weekend to land him. I think that's the guy that Willie is focused on since he got the job. They had a chance to get another quarterback early in the early signing period. His name was Michael Penix. He ended up going to Indiana. Willie kind of passed on him because he was so focused on Foster, and I think his patience is going to pay off. I think everything I'm hearing is looking really good for FSU to land James Foster. So needs in general, they've really usually don't hit as well as they have on every single need, but I think they're going to come about as close as you can to filling all the needs that they wanted in this class.
Michael Langston from Warchant.com, recruiting insider, giving us the lowdown. Get that fax machine ready, the coffee, whatever else you need, Michael. I know it's going to be a long 48 hours, man. We appreciate the time.
You got it, man. Anytime.
That again, Michael Langston from Warchant.com, giving us the latest on recruiting as Florida State wraps up the final weekend before National Signing Day. When we come right back here on Wake Up Warchant, we'll look back on the basketball team's big-time win against Louisville, what that means for the Noles' chances to make the dance, as well as some other topics involving football, probably, because that's what we do on the show. We'll be right back after this. It's Wake Up Warchant on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
As a small business owner, you're juggling it all, including customers' calls from your personal phone. But with Grasshopper, you get a business phone number and a business phone system from our mobile app, so you can work smarter, not harder. Grasshopper forwards calls, texts, even transcribes voicemails. Everything you need to simplify your business and stay responsive. With Grasshopper, there's no long-term contracts, and customer support is 24/7. Whether you're starting or growing your business, Grasshopper is the answer. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio.
The way she's always singing, her silly laugh, the way she kisses me hello. This Valentine's Day, I want to turn everything I love about her into the one thing she'll love forever, an engagement ring.
It's the Jared Valentine's Day Diamond Event, February 1st through the 14th. Save up to $1,000 off any diamond when you buy her setting at Jared. And let our expert jewelers help you find or create the one ring that could only be for her. That's why he went to Jared. Some exclusions apply. See jared.com for details.
Mike Golick here. ADT, the #1 security company, can now help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Get started with the ADT Starter Kit professionally installed for only $49. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with 24/7 emergency response for free with any ADT security system. Go to ADT.com/podcast to learn more today.
Requires 36-month monitoring contract, QSD and Easy Pay. Activation and early termination fees may apply. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com. Additional charge for ADT Go premium services after March 31st, 2018.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Here's a love story between a restaurant and its city, and the people of its city. For 45 years, Andrews has been serving up great food, great fun, and great memories in the heart of Tallahassee. Today, Andrews is better than ever, with an all-new look, Tallahassee's original Sunday brunch, a new outdoor pergola, and an incredible happy hour. All to bring the best of the best to you. Come make memories at Andrews, better than ever.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
For 45 years, Andrews has been serving up memories in the heart of Tallahassee. Today, Andrews is better than ever with an all-new look, Tallahassee's original Sunday brunch, and a new outdoor pergola. Make memories at Andrews, better than ever.
You're locked in to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake Up Warchant, brought to you by For the Table. Free parking in the first two levels of the College Town Garage, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Makes lunch plans at Madison Social or Township a breeze. Welcome on back. It is Wake Up Warchant. I'm Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey Clark from warchant.com, senior writer. Is that what's on the business card? Corey,
yeah, the business cards I'm handing out at all the bars. Yeah, that's what it says. Senior writer.
Awesome. It's Wake Up Warchant, brought to you by, obviously, by warchant.com. Michael Langston joined us previous segment to talk about the recruiting prowess thus far of Willie Taggart and the Seminoles. I mean, they're moving up the list. They were, golly, as low as 70 or something like that, Corey. And one of the things that we heard Michael talk about in the previous segment was the fact that it seems to be this sort of this full team effort, all hands on deck when it comes to recruiting. Michael mentioned it. In his sort of opinion, it seems like Willie's giving these assistant coaches a lot of leeway in terms of kids they want to offer. They're being very judicious in who they're offering, but some of the other coaches are allowed to kind of pull the trigger on these kids, whereas when it was the other guy, because I'm not allowed to say his name because I'm not allowed to like the other guy previously because that gets everybody upset, and I'm sorry everybody's upset, but we'll talk about that another date. But, that's kind of a new thing, and the players are...
It's like Harry Potter, right? What's the guy's name in Harry Potter that you're not allowed to talk about?
Lost on me. I've never seen any of the Harry Potters, man. You'll discover you'll make all these movie allegories to a movie, and I will have not seen them. Like Rocky, you've got
to have seen Rocky, but I've seen the first Harry Potter, but I can't remember. I know there's like the man who may not be named or something.
He who shall not be named.
We're showing our age, but. Voldemort, that could be Lord of the Rings. Lord, I'm worse at that kind of stuff than probably you are. But there is a character in Harry Potter where you're not supposed to say his name.
All right, well,
so we'll talk. The former Florida State coach, we'll refer to him as the coach that shall not be named.
Like, why can't I appreciate what he did and be upset at how he left? Like, I mean, that's kind of rhetorical because I don't want to go too far down that road. But just basically, it's a new day at Florida State, right? So all these guys are getting along. It's all kumbaya now. Everybody loves everybody. The honeymoon's in full effect. And, Michael keeps mentioning culture. The players can kind of sense the fact that all these coaches kind of get along. And that seems to be selling a lot of these kids is that good family vibe, which is something that we heard from the previous regime. But anyways, how excited, I guess, are you to finally, I guess, Wednesday come around, because you'll be able to start talking to these coaches for the first time. We had Willie, a month ago, and since then we haven't heard from him since. Yeah, you had him when he was introduced, and then we had him again on the first signing day, which I guess that was middle December. Right. And haven't talked to him since. I've noticed what they've done in recruiting, obviously, and I just think it's just so different. I've written many stories about it on Warchant about just maybe not. It is a culture change, but it's just a change of everything. They're younger by about a decade. They seem to be hipper. They use Twitter. They seem to all get along. There are a couple guys on the previous Florida State staff that I guarantee you don't know what a GIF is, or a GIF, however you want to pronounce it. GIF. I pronounce it GIF because it's like Christmas gifts. Correct. So they're not Christmas GIFs. You have to imagine they can interact and they relate better to younger people than the previous staff did. Now, that's not to besmirch the previous staff, because Lord knows that guy brought in some of the best recruiting classes, not in the history of Florida State, in the history of college football. Facts. They were unbelievable recruiting classes. So he knew what he was doing too. But when you go from a fall like Florida State fans went through, not only with the losses on the field, but then you look at these recruiting rankings and you're like, what's going on? Are they even recruiting anymore? Who's coming here? And then you lose your coach and all these kids decommit. And like you said, you get down into the 70s when you're ranked behind Middle Tennessee State and Buffalo. You knew Willie Taggart was going to make a huge impact. We weren't sure how immediate it would be, just because he got here so late in the game. But man, the staff he's put together, the way they interact, how fun they seem to be, how young they are, how much they can relate to these guys, you can only imagine how it's going to be moving forward when they have their feet on the ground. They're doing this all kind of in the air, not really, some of those guys probably don't even have homes yet. They're recruiting for Florida State. Wait till they get their feet on the ground and get really running going into 2019. They could put together some juggernauts, because one thing Willie Taggart we know can do, we don't know if he can lead Florida State to national championships. The other guy did do that, but we know Willie Taggart's going to recruit. Yeah, I think that's what excites you, and I've heard you mention on Seminole Headlines, is the fact that just to see this team, a brand like Florida State, play fast and fun with the kind of athletes that they can actually recruit is what's not the saving grace, but that's the real intrigue here, right? That's if Willie Taggart can get these guys to Florida State, add on to what Jimbo laid down, then no more seeing guys getting yelled at, and no more taking timeouts out of timeouts, and the fun sort of returns to Tallahassee. Well, he's obviously a more, he's probably a more energetic guy than Jimbo, just dealing with the media and dealing with fans. I think he's going to be better with that than Jimbo was. That was just kind of a part of the job that Jimbo didn't really like, was having to deal with fans and boosters. I think Taggart's one of those guys that can shake hands and kiss babies and be a guy that everybody likes, and he's relatable and he's funny, he's charming, all that. Jimbo wasn't any of that. That doesn't mean Jimbo obviously wasn't a good coach, because he was. But there's a lot of different ways to win football games and to make fans happy. Willie Taggart's going to make fans happy just because he's going to play a more exciting style of football, man. Lord, some of the last few years, if Dalvin Cook wasn't taking an off tackle play to the house, it was a grind to watch this offense. If it's not Jameis Winston at quarterback or Dalvin Cook at running back, it was a grind. It's not going to be a grind with Willie Taggart. They're going to be more fast. They're going to be faster. They're going to be more up tempo. They're going to get more plays. They're going to get their guys in space. They're going to play freshman wide receivers. All this stuff that we're not used to. Is it going to result in championships? We'll see. But you understand why Florida State fans are so excited. All of it. With me anyway. It's almost like it was time for a change. It had gotten stale. And Willie Taggart is 180 degrees different than Jimbo Fisher in a lot of ways. And I just think it was time for both to move on. And I'm really looking forward to see what Willie Taggart can do with a program like this, because he turned programs around that weren't nearly as good as Florida State. Western Kentucky and South Florida aren't on the same map as Florida State when it comes to college football royalty. Let's see what Willie Taggart can do here, and that starts
really on Wednesday with his first recruiting class. And if he can go from a class that was 72nd or whatever when he took over to top 15 or top 10, man, you got to imagine Florida and Miami fans are like, oh boy, this isn't going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, so far so good. I mean, listen, it's not that I like Willie Taggart seems awesome. I don't know. I feel like these aren't mutually exclusive things. Like you can appreciate what the guy previously did and what this guy can hopefully do.
And every time and every time I've written a story about Jimbo or more along the lines of Taggart and how different he is than Jimbo, I always couched it and qualified it by saying, look, Jimbo Fisher's a really good football coach, and he did a lot of great things at Florida State. It wasn't easy what he did. Look at that 2010 recruiting class he brought in after that fall. Think about if you thought the 2017 fall football season was a chaotic mess. Man, 2009, holy moly, you had a legendary coach getting ousted. You had him begging for one more year and getting shown the door, and the national media, just lampooning Florida State. And he still salvaged a great class. Telvin Smith, LaMarcus Joyner, people like that. Jimbo Fisher did great things for Florida State University, 100%. I think Florida State fans appreciate it. They do not appreciate the way he left, obviously. Right. And it always seemed like he was he didn't appreciate where he was.
Yeah. I mean, every year the flirting.
I think that rubbed people the wrong way. And then I also think that it got stale. The offense just got really stale to watch.
I agree. And right now, I mean, Texas A&M looks to be stuck in a ditch recruiting-wise, and they don't seem to be getting out of it anytime soon. So that's kind of cool, too, because
even with other facilities.
I know, right? Golly.
That's crazy.
You got all that space. They don't need a trophy room, so they can build all the facilities they want at Texas A&M. All right, moving along now. Let's talk a little bit about basketball. Coming off, I guess we can obviously unanimously agree, the worst loss of the season against Wake Forest, a game that they could have easily won. Florida State had to walk into the Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky, play a really good Cardinals squad, and Florida State comes out and wins that game. You want to talk about grinding it out. That was a beautiful sort of effort down the stretch for Florida State. Does that win in your mind, Corey? I know you're not Joey Brackets, you're not Joe Lenardi, but does that redeem the entire – I mean, in my eyes, it redeems the entire week despite the loss at Wake Forest.
Oh, 100%. If you were going to go 1-1 this past week, the one you wanted to win was the Louisville one, honestly. I mean, yeah, it's a bad loss to lose to Wake. It's not a crippling loss, but it's certainly offset and more by winning at Louisville. I mean, that was as good a win as they've had all season. And especially because, I mean, I didn't see that coming. I thought there was a chance they might get blown out. Because it's hard when you lose at Wake Forest to a team that, you have, Kofor's probably been their best player, their second best player all year. He misses 2 free throws, and then you give a wide open dunk in the last minute, and you lose like that. There's a chance that can carry over for a week.
Right.
And instead, they flushed it and went and played one of their best games of the year to win at Louisville, which is a tough place to play. And did it in a different way than they've been doing it this year. They didn't have to rain threes. Did they make a 3 in the second half? I don't even think they took but like 3 or 4 in the second half. And they still found a way to win the game. And they still played really well offensively against a team. They kind of embarrassed them in the second half the first time they played defensively. Like Florida State didn't do anything on offense in the second half against that Louisville team down in the Civic Center. So for them to come back, man, I just thought that said a lot about the makeup of this team. That they are what I kind of thought they were. They are tougher than last year's team. They're not as talented, but I think they're tougher, and I think they have a chance. They're not going to be a high seed in the tournament, but they could be a middle seed and maybe surprise someone in the second round if they get there. I mean, I just think they're a really tough team that really plays that doesn't wilt on the road, which last year's team, even as talented as it was, would always seem to wilt on the road.
Let's put a bookmark there. Let's share my thoughts on that and get some more of Corey's thoughts on Florida State's win over Louisville, what that means for their tournament chances. When we come right back, we'll wrap things up here on Wake Up Warchant right after this on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
Want to know my favorite word? Simple. It's how I run my life. Wear the same work boots every day? Simple. Have the same lunch? Simple. Take the same route to work? Simple. But sometimes my job gets complicated. That's why I use Grainger. No matter what issues the job throws at me, Grainger keeps things simple. Online ordering? Simple. Managing my inventory? Simple. And if something pops up, Grainger's got my back with 24/7 customer support. Simple as that. Call, click Grainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Napa know-how.
Why get Valvoline Full Synthetic Motor Oil at Napa for $5.49 a quart? Because that's a good price for high-performance oil. After all, nobody wants mediocre performance. I mean, when's the last time your boss said, here's a raise for being average? So get the good stuff at a good price. Valvoline Full Synthetic, just $5.49. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General States pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 2/28/18.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
I took a bit of a risk singing that song, but of course the one place I never take chances is the road, where Progressive Snapshot rewards your safe driving. A good driver plus Snapshot equals big discounts. And speaking of math, 1 + 1 = 2, little too late.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
Credit products are made by WebBank. Rates and terms vary based on credit history. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
How did I get into credit card debt? A trip to the emergency room.
Car repairs.
Moving expenses?
There's a million ways to get into credit card debt, but one sure way to start getting out: Avant. Avant offers access to online unsecured loans from $2,000 to $35,000 at competitive rates and no extra charges for paying back early. Over 500,000 customers have experienced the convenience of a loan through Avant. No wonder Avant has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. The application takes minutes, and if approved by 4:30 p.m. Central Time Monday through Friday, funds are deposited as soon as the next business day. And now Avant will also give you a $50 Amazon.com gift card after your first payment is made on time. To check your loan options and to get this special radio offer, go to Avant.com today and enter promo code 4949 when applying. That's AVANT.com, promo code 4949. Avant.com, code 4949.
I have known for some time now that some insurance companies are not exactly being truthful with their customers, stating such things as if you do not use one of their approved body shops, they will not guarantee the repairs, or it may cost you more out of pocket. Here at Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, the work we do is guaranteed for as long as you own your vehicle. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, 385-2665.
License number MV46050.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. It's RA2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
And now Jeff and Eddie waste my time instead of recording a commercial.
I know we got to record this one, but remember that time with the thing and the guy?
Oh, and then we did that.
It was by the pool. It was by the pool.
And then
that guy jumped. The one guy.
With the Speedo?
That was ridiculous.
Man, what a day. And then the guy.
He came up with the food.
The truck.
He didn't even know.
You know,
had no idea.
And how about those girls?
If we could only recreate that. Ridiculous. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
You're locked in to Wake Up Warchant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake Up Warchant, brought to you by For the Table. Free parking in the first 2 levels of the College Town Garage, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Makes lunch plans at Madison Social or Township a breeze. Welcome on back to Wake Up Warchant, final segment for today. It's Monday, of course. Corey Clark joining me as always. I think this is the setup, man. The man behind the curtain who makes all this sort of stuff happen, Mr. Gene Williams. You know, I'm like, I sent an email to Gene the other day. I'm like, hey, before I reach out to Corey, I'm like, is Corey going to be doing this every day? Like, I don't want to bother Corey. I'm like, yo, I need you, you to be ready on this time and that time, or is it just at his leisure? He's like, no, the plan is for you guys to kind of tag team. And I'm like, all right, very cool, man. So thanks for being here, Corey. You're the, I don't want to say the co-host. You can say whatever, you can put whatever you want in your Twitter bio. You can be the driver of this one because I know Jeff takes all the credit.
How about I be like the editor? I'll be the editor of Wake Up Warchant.
Okay, all right, because I know Ira took that. Chaffel, you got to be careful around him, man. Always snatch up the cool titles.
Sure, yeah, the Wake Up Warchant editor.
Yeah, all right, fantastic. All right, so we talked about Florida State's big victory over Louisville, and this is the crazy thing about it to me. And I know this is obviously not any sort of new earth-shattering thought, and it's things that you and Jeff and Ira have bounced around, but I mean with this team. It's just so crazy that there's not that sort of alpha dog scorer. I mean, I don't know who's going to get the ball. If Florida State needs one shot to win a game, I don't know who's going to get the ball. Part of that's kind of frightening to me, but part of it's really cool. And I don't know how much. I mean, Phil Kofer is he the straw that stirs the drink for this team? Because when he's doing well, it seems like the team, he's the tide that rises all the boats when it comes to Florida State this season. It seems like I know Brian Angola had a fantastic game as well, and Trent Forrest did some really good things down the stretch. But it feels like if Phil's scoring, Florida State's going to do just fine.
I can't remember. I'll be honest with you. When it comes to Florida State athletics, I don't know that I can remember somebody having this kind of turnaround in their career to where, Kofor was almost like a punchline when the season started. I remember seeing it on Twitter when he'd make a couple bad plays and travel and barrel into someone in the first couple of games. Oh boy, don't shoot it. Oh, there goes Kofor. I mean, he's been really kind of unbelievable. Not just what he did against Duke. I know he missed the 2 free throws against Wake, but heck, they're not even in that game. If he didn't, he scored 23 points in that game, and then he goes on the road and did what he did against Louisville. I thought he was going to be the kind of guy, man, just go rebound and defend. Quit trying to score. That's anytime he would try to do that last year or the year before that. That's always what I thought. But man, he is a talented dude. He's got a nice shot. Those aren't flukes. He's got a nice jumper.
High arcing jumper. Nice high arcing jumper.
Well, yes, some of them almost hit the top of the building when he shoots them. But I'm just so happy for that kid, man, for him to play like that. And I think, I would say, I would say him, and to be honest with you, in a weird way, C.J. Walker are the two guys that really kind of make this team go, in the sense that when they both play well, Florida State is going to win the game. And when they don't play well, it's going to be a struggle. And there are plenty of times where C.J. Walker has not played well. But when he plays well and doesn't make crazy turnovers and just brick every three, he's a solid. I don't want to say good. He's not a good ACC point guard, not yet. He's a sophomore. He is a solid ACC point guard, but he makes winning plays. He can make winning plays, and I just think when you get that from him, and you getting 15 a night, 16 a night from Kofor, man, it's pretty remarkable. And I think Terrence Mann is their best player, but they got a lot of good players. Not great players. Last year they had a couple great players. This year seems to just be a team full of 4 or 5 or 6 good players. And that's good enough right now for them to be whatever they were, 17-6.
I don't know if you ever played the Nintendo game back in the day, ice hockey. It was just called ice hockey. That was the game. It was just called ice hockey. But you could construct your own team, and you had 3 options. You could either have a really skinny guy who was super fast, a really fat guy who, if the skinny guy hit the fat guy, he'd bounce off, or you just pick a guy who's in the middle. He wasn't all that fast, but he wasn't all that slow. He wouldn't get bumped around easily. So it's like Florida State's just like that guy in the middle. Like Florida State is just the gray. And it's beautiful, though, because I don't know. I mean, maybe, obviously I think some of that home court, not home court, but being close to home for C.J. Walker, we kind of saw the best out of him. Keeping my fingers crossed that I don't know if Indianapolis is hosting a regional this year, but if Florida State can go there for the basketball first round, that'd be a nice thing. But just to kind of see that they have all these different guys making all these plays. You mentioned Terrence Mann being the best player on the team. He misses 2 free throws, 2 absolute crucial free throws that could ice that game, but he bounces back and gets a block on that final possession to kind of ice the game for Florida State. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to patronize or pander to anybody at home, but I mean, part of me feels like if this team can make it to the dance, I feel much better about their chances to survive and advance than I did about last year's team that was filled with all sorts of big time talent.
And big time expectations. And this team won't have those. This team, literally, I think they just go there kind of just happy to be there. If you remember, Leonard's only Sweet 16 team was an 11 seed. The only Sweet 16 team at Florida State was an 11 seed that knocked off number 2 Notre Dame because nobody thought they had a chance, and they just kind of played carefree and did it. Last year's team, I think near the end of the season, was burdened by expectations because they played so well to start the season and beat all those ranked teams. I also want to say that has to be the first time, probably in radio history, right, that a basketball team has been compared to the Nintendo hockey game from the 90s. Right? I think you made some radio history there. That's something for the scrapbooks, man.
Corey, I've been sitting on that for years, and as soon as I knew I got this job, I'm just like, first day, I'm going to shoot my shot.
I was going to say, man, your first day, you got to come in with the gems, with the things you've been holding on to, and that was good stuff, man. I think all Wake Up Warchant listeners now are like, okay, it's a brand new day. It's a brand new day. I thought you were going to bring up the was it Sega? When I remember playing with Jeremy Roenick on the NHL Sega version, where he was unstoppable. Jeremy Roenick. I don't know if he was. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't know if he was a great player or just a good player or a Hall of Fame player, but on that Sega game, he was the best. He was better than Gretzky. It was unbelievable how good he was. So that's all. That was my hocky knowledge from the early 90s.
Yeah, like
so
NHL
we knocked
96.
that out here on Wake Up Warchant.
Yeah, NHL 96. Jeremy Roenick might have been the best video game player ever. I mean, he was that amazing in that game. So yeah, sorry.
Like Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl. Those are the old. Bo Jackson literally couldn't be tackled. I mean, those are probably it.
Can't forget about Bo.
But trying to go back to Florida State basketball real quick. Yeah, man. I just think they have a chance. Because what were the expectations for this team? They lost technically their 3 best players off a team that kind of disappointed at the end of the year by getting out. Not just that they lost to Xavier, because Xavier, as it turned out, was a really good team that made the Elite 8 and is now top 10 in the country this year. I mean, that was a tough second round draw. But the way they lost, just getting blown out, for this team, and that happened a lot to last year's team. As good as they were, when the chips fell down, man, they kind of tucked and ran, and a 4-point deficit would turn into a 20-point deficit real quick. This team has a lot of fight in it, and I think even when you look at the loss to Boston College, where they played terribly, the loss to Wake, you look at their losses that they've had, they played really hard, and they're never out of a game. They don't typically get blown out. They'll lose because they're not full of NBA players, but they still play hard. They're not great defensively. But again, I just think they're a fun team to watch. And I think that was if this team can get to the tournament with what they lost last year, you have to say it would be one of Leonard's best coaching job other than the ACC championship team. Is getting this team to the tournament and maybe is like a 7 or 8 seed when they lost what they lost, because that's pretty remarkable. And this conference is ridiculous. So to get 8 or 9 or 10 wins in this league, the teams you have to beat is really remarkable. And I just think this will be definitely, you could chalk this up as one of his better coaching jobs if they finish this up with 3 or 4 more wins.
Yeah, I just wanted Florida State basketball to be a good diversion on Wednesdays. If they could just give me like 3 Wednesdays to be happy this season, that's really all I was kind of expecting out of them. But the wins they keep kind of accumulating here, and even despite the fact they lost to Wake Forest, which was a total bummer. I mean, Wake Forest was a total bummer. I actually went and hung out with Gene the next morning to kind of do some paperwork for the new job and stuff, and it was just kind of like, well, I came here with high hopes that maybe one of my first assignments would be going out and covering this team playing in the NCAA national tournament, but that's gone by the wayside. But to see them
NIT, baby. You could cover an NIT home game.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. The Tuck, man. It's been a long time. I used to love going to Tucker because you could drink there, man. I'll be honest. You
can drink there, and for NIT games, it's like general admission, so the whole lower bowl is filled, which is always nice. Yeah. There's not really a lot of students there, but I've covered. I'll be honest with you, Aslan. I've covered probably too many NIT games in my life. I don't want to cover them anymore. Last year, the NCAA tournament was a lot of fun. And when you just being there, and that first game was a lot of fun. There was like 15 dunks. That was a fun game. The second one wasn't much fun, but it's just fun covering a team that's in the tournament. And, getting there again would just be a really neat accomplishment. And I also say this, now there's a chance. I know Phil Kofer is listed as a senior, but there's a chance he could get a red shirt for 2 years ago. They're still doing the paperwork on that. And if there's any chance, even a 40-50% chance that Phil Kofer can come back next year with everybody else coming back, man, you're looking at like a top 20, top 15 caliber team. I mean, they're set up for the foreseeable future because they're a young team and they're a fun team.
Which is awesome. Virginia, not a fun team they usually watch coming to town, but we have a fun team for once, and it's fantastic. Real quick, better hospitality, the Amway Center in Orlando for the NCAA tournament or the Bistro's Bar Walk-On Independence Bowl?
Well, so here's the thing about that.
Bistro and bar.
I don't remember the Amway Center food at all, so that should tell you something. Okay. But what was cool about the Bistro Bar and whatever it was,
Shreveport, baby, woo!
Shreveport, the Shreve, baby. I hope I get to go back as many times. But when you're sitting in your seat in the press box, they bring you food. They'll bring you like a bowl of shrimp gumbo, and they'll bring you a crab cake. It was actually I've never been in a press box that did that. So kudos to the Bistro Bowl or whatever we're calling it, because they actually served us sitting there in press row. That was awesome.
Those folks are top notch. You're top notch as well too, Corey. Thanks for hanging in there with me. First show might have been rocky at times, but we'll get better. We just, when you buy the plane ticket, they just promise they're going to land it in one piece. We don't say it's going to always be smooth. Sometimes we hit some turbulence.
I think you knocked it out of the park, man. I think you knocked it out of the park. You had big shoes to fill, and obviously you're probably a little intimidated being on the, being with me.
Dude, Corey Clark,
that's going to be something you're going to have to get used to.
When am I going to get a follow back on Twitter?
Working with one of your heroes. I know that can be hard.
Yeah.
But I think you knocked it out of the park for the first episode, man. And I really do look forward to this, man. I think it'll be fun.
Likewise, man. Checks in the mail, by the way. That's a wrap on today's edition of Wake Up Warchant. He's Corey Clark. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.
This tax season, AutoZone has everything your car needs. And now those parts and supplies come with more savings when you sign up for the AutoZone Rewards program. You'll earn $20 every time you spend $20 or more 5 times. One more way to get more done. And this tax season, get more savings and more miles with great deals on the right oil and filters to keep your engine better protected. Stop in and let's get you what you need. Restrictions and details in store.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
This ad is 30 seconds long, but if you work for yourself, don't think of it as 30 seconds. Think of it as a little over 26 cents. Because if you're driving for work on a freeway at the speed limit, you'll travel around half a mile. That's worth over 26 cents in deductions come tax time. And that makes every half mile worth tracking.
You won't miss a mile with automatic mileage tracking. Visit QuickBooks.com. Smarter business tools for the world's hardest workers. QuickBooks, backing you. Over 26 cents deduction based on IRS 2017 standard mileage rates for business.
Start your new year off right with all the DeWalt deals at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. The store that brought you your build-your-own kit is taking it to the next level. Buy any, and we mean any, DeWalt Bear tool and receive a free, on-the-spot, 4-amp-hour lithium battery. No mail-ins, no gimmicks, on the spot. Also, check out DeWalt's Impact Hammer Drill Kit and get a free tool promotion exclusively at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener is also your home for OSHA-compliant dust solutions for all your concrete needs. 2 locations to choose from, 1110 Stuckey Avenue and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.